If you didn't join us last year for Q Source, I'm glad that you're participating this year. And we want to create a Northeast Wake discussion guide, an addendum to go along with this book to kind of steer our conversations into more meaningful, rich conversations at our cafeteria table. So I hope that you'll enjoy our conversations and that you'll apply them at your discussion tables. And so again, I'm Money Pit, and with me today is Turnover, and he's gonna help me introduce this first topic. We're F1 Foundation Disruption. And so if I had to sum it all up, I'd say this first chapter, Dread, is laying the foundation that for us to move to somewhere new, we're going to have to leave the status quo. And in order to leave the status quo, it is going to take a disruption or a disturbance. And leaders have to know how to be disruptive to take a group to a place of advantage, a better place. And ultimately, a great leader will be one that's motivated by love, taking somewhere good because he puts those people ahead of themselves and desires to see them end up in a better place. So Turnover, I'd love to ask you a few questions. You're such a man of wisdom and insight, especially on this topic, that hopefully steers our conversations. And, you know, the first question I think that we would want everybody to really think about is, what's the status quo look like in your life? And so for you, Turnover, like, what's the importance of recognizing status quo and where we're at?
Well, that comes with self-reflection and awareness, I believe, that you have to be able to look at yourself internally and reflect on, am I where I want to be, or am I just going through the motions? Certainly for me, it took moving across the country, and really that is about as disruptive as you can be, to go to a new location, not know anybody, risk of new job, all those things. But what stimulated that was the fact that I reflected on my current status and realized that I was in a rut, or in some position that was going to not produce what I wanted to long term. So it had to take some serious decision making to say, this is something I want to do differently. And so that was a major disruption, right? If you look at a time and a place and time, that would be a major disruption. I think that it starts with self-reflection on, where am I currently, and am I where I want to be, with a heightened awareness.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, disruption is not easy. You know, no one really welcomes disruption, but I love this Tony Robbins quote. He says, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And leaders have to embrace that disruption is part of the process. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And in fact, it's the reason that most people stay stagnant in areas is because the pain to change is hard. It's not easy. And specifically, what defines a leader is someone that's willing to take on that challenge of, it's not the easy road. I'm going to put myself through pain. It's what people sign up for to be a leader, is to make decisions that are not easy.
I agree. I mean, that's what distinguishes the men who show up at 5:30 every morning in the cold and the gloom with F3 versus the guys that go to the Y.
Yeah.
Right? They're willing to embrace the disruption that's necessary in their life to get to somewhere better. And so when we embrace the fact that disruption is necessary, I think we as men need to look in the mirror and look and see, where does my life need to be disrupted? Where are the relationships and the teams and the things that I'm doing? Where is disruption necessary for me to break out of status quo and to get somewhere different? What would you want for people to think about when they think about themselves and disruption?
Yeah, it comes down to, the timing of this chapter is pretty significant to the time of the year we're in, right? People start a new year. I need to make this change. I need to eat differently. I need to work out. I need to do, and all these resolutions come out, and you see a large influx of people going into a different routine of going to the gym or eating differently on these crash diets. But what it takes is for someone to identify that at any time of the year and to stick with it because it's the right decision, and not just because I've identified because everybody else is doing it. So I think the relevance of the chapter is pretty significant to the fact that it's a starting point. It's a start of the year. This is the time when we evaluate how we want to be different than what we were. My status quo is different than yours. And once we have an awareness of, I'm not okay with where I'm at. I want to be in a different position. What needs to change? And it has to have a focused effort on those changes.
Yeah, agreed. I think the place that we Turnover and I would like to see the conversations get to, if you can, is to really talk about the difference between management and leadership. And I love some of the things that you've told me before this turnover. But the status quo needs a manager, and we're all managers in many different parts of our life. But a manager doesn't lead anyone into significant change. It will take a leader, and so disruption has got to be in a leader's toolkit. Otherwise, we're just a manager. Why don't you consult every day with people who are managers, with their leaders, help introduce this topic so that it can be a meaningful conversation at our tables.
Yeah, and some of the things that I would say first off is this is a discussion topic that we continuously have and reflect on in our own lives. Am I managing or am I leading? Managing is an action. I manage a process. I manage a group of things. I make sure something happens. I manage the status quo. We're on this path. This is what we do. It's very push. That's from this level. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm directing it, and this is what needs to happen. And there's a healthy amount of that we need to do in order to be successful in life. Managing is a title. Typically, I'm the title of a manager. I'm a manager. I was promoted into this position, as opposed to leadership on the other side. Leadership is a character trait. A leader is someone that doesn't necessarily have to have a title. It's someone people follow. They inspire and they impact people to do something because they believe in them. Many times leaders are not the healthy person that they want to follow. We have people that are bad leaders. And what it's important for us to identify is who are the influential leaders that are inspiring and impacting others in life, maybe dragging them in the wrong position. But it's important to be able to identify that person and get them to go in the right direction. So in business, that's what I typically try to do, is identify some of the influential people that are leaders that maybe they don't have the title of a manager, but people follow what they do. And I get their buy-in in order to go in the right direction. For us, it's about being that leader out there
Yeah.
it's for F3, it's specifically what are we doing to inspire others to
Yeah.
come out? Or are we encouraging? Are we, reminding them and making removing as many obstacles as we can in our family? Are we doing things that are healthy in order to inspire, our children and our spouses and stuff to follow what we're doing and go with us instead of pushing? Do this because I said to. I'm your dad. Do this because I said to. That's a very manager title role, as opposed to I clean my room because I want to, because I know the benefits of having a clean room.
I think the challenge for us, as I'm listening to what you're saying, is for us to be leaders that people will follow. What we need to be inspiring leaders, and inspiring leaders are the ones who are willing to disrupt their lives first. If you want to lead others and you want to inspire others to follow you, they've got to see your willingness to disrupt your own status quo before you go asking someone else and before you go disrupting someone else. And so that's my challenge for us, Pax. Let's look at this chapter. Let's discuss at our tables. Let's look ourselves in the mirror. Where's the status quo that needs disruption in our lives and our teams? And will we have the courage to disrupt, but will we have the leadership chops to do it in love, to leave a legacy of love and take people to greater places because we were willing to disrupt something that we saw a vision for something so much greater. So Turnover, appreciate you joining me for this. I know that our conversations will be rich because of your insights.
Thank you, Blake.
All right.
All right.
We'll see y'all in the gloom.